Okay, this video is going to be another follow-up to several videos I did about a year ago on pattern making. And one of them was making the drive wheel for the 040, and another one was making the cylinders for that same engine, as well as the steam chest and so on. And finally, now after a year, I got the drivers. It was a real nightmare getting those parts. I've got them now, and I wanted to show what they look like. In fact, here they are right here. Here's a drive wheel made from that pattern. Here's the back of it. Now the issue was this hub right here. Now the hub is on there to be able to have a chuck, 4-jaw chuck on this, and you could use a smaller lathe, like maybe you got a 9-inch. The originals were built on a 9-inch South Bend lathe, including the milling. But you're talking about 1970s, early 70s, this was done. Where now you know, a lot of people couldn't afford a milling machine, but now with the Chinese imports and so on, and there's so many used machines out there because of the CNC thing, you can buy manual machines pretty much anywhere, the mill drills and all of that. So it's kind of outdated, but you can chuck it here on a 4-jaw chuck on a small lathe, a 9-inch lathe. You couldn't do it on a 6, but you could do it on a 9. And then of course you face all these off, do whatever you got to do. And that's the reason. But the problem was casting this. I told him, the guy that found it, put a large riser here. Now that won't shrink in. Finally, you could maybe see it on here, the evidence of the big riser he put on there. But we had a bunch that were sunken in there, and also several that had porosity in the middle. So he had, I don't know, about 70 wheels or so. I went to the foundry, and we were right about off the bat, we eliminated a bunch. I wound up taking 64 wheels back to the shop here, and out of the 64, I found 12 that had porosity. And how I did that was I put them in a lathe, drilled them, center drilled them, and drilled them with a 3/4 inch hole. And this one I didn't do because I know this one's sound. But the questionable ones, I drilled a hole in them, and I found, oh, boom, dunk, 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 dunk. You start hearing the chip in there. You look in, sure enough, there's a porosity, and that was it. I only found 12 of those that were like that. So out of the 64 wheels that I had, 12 of them had to be returned. So I did okay. So now that was the end of that. Now, just to refresh your memory, and by the way, that gives me 52 wheels, which is whatever, 11 sets or something, whatever, how many sets? 13 sets. Anyway, there's the pattern. He changed my gating. They never liked my gating. And there's the back. See, what did he do different here? Well, he just saw cut some of the gate off. And he changed the front gate a little bit. But anyway, I don't care how he does it. He got it. So now this will go up on the rack. Gotta be hung up for whatever. And then we have the cylinders. Here's one cylinder right here from the pattern I made that you saw me make, one step by step by step. And of course it's a solid chunk here. Now this one, believe it or not, it had a big riser, and here it is here, riser on it, huge riser, and he liked this gating. He left this exactly the way I did it. Now, if you recall, somebody on the chassis, somebody said, oh, I said took me about 40, 50 hours to make that pattern. And he said, oh, I can make that pattern in 8 hours. Baloney. I don't care who you are. You can't do it in 8 hours. I don't care. I'll challenge anybody to that. I went and got a pattern, regular pattern shop, West Pattern Makers, which is down here. They quoted the price on that, and I showed it on the video. And by the way, I'm going to put all the videos that for each individual thing that I'm selling here. I'll put a video on where to find it on YouTube. But they came back with a quote for exactly what you see there. 2 pressions on a match plate with the plate and everything, and the core box that goes with that. $1,975. Now that's a professional pattern making. maybe that's a lot of money, I don't know. But anyway, here's the 2 cylinders. Here's 1, 2, right here. Boy, they're 10 pounds each. Okay, and then we have all the rest of this stuff, this steam chest. There's a steam chest. Steam chest, and the cover to go with it. Of course, they got to be machined, you know. And then we have the front and rear heads for the cylinders, casting. And they came out pretty good. So here's the complete set. Now I have everything needed to get this locomotive running on air. You can buy the kit and you can run it, get it running to a point where it's on air. Now I have to revamp some of the prints because the original Muskie locomotive was 7 1/4 gauge, and he didn't ever think, the heck with that 7 1/2 guys. Just like the 7 1/2 inch group, the heck with the 7 1/4 guys. But as a supplier, that's something I have to consider for everything I design. Could be used on either gauge. It's been used worldwide. I have some of these locomotives out in England. They're all over the world. So the rest of the world 7 1/4. United States is the only one 7 1/2. And maybe Japan, part of Japan, and there was scattered 7 1/2 gauge tracks around. But anyway, I had to consider that, and the cylinders were too far inboard. For 7 1/4 they were fine, but for 7 1/2, when the wheels come out, the side rods would hit the crosshead. So you had to make a special arrangement there so it would pass. So what I did is, now that I made new patterns, I said, well, the heck with it, I'll just move everything out 1/8 of an inch. And that's what I did. So I got 2 dimensions for the center of this here, right here, and the outside here. So for whatever gauge you're going to make it, you change this dimension. In or out, or out or in. And that'll take care of it. So I have to revamp the prints for that. And a couple of other things. Generally, I'd like to redo the prints in general to new CAD drawings, so they're added to, crossed out dimensions all over the place. So I want to kind of fix all that. Now, if it's successful, especially with the success of my casting setup, I may make some of the valve gear parts in investment casting and offer that as an option, or we'll use the new word, upgrade. Brake rigging parts and other parts like that. And now the only other patterns I have to make, I'm ready to sell this stuff now, because I didn't want to put it out there without the drivers. I want people to buy the whole kit and not worry about, well, when am I going to get the cylinder? Am I going to get the other part? What happens if Dave kicks the bucket? Whatever. I wanted to have that done, so at least they could finish to that point. And I need to make the smoke box front, which I'll cover in the pattern making, hopefully. The stack, and the air tank ends and air tank brackets. And I have the brackets castings that I've been making over a period of time. I'll continue to make those. And they're bronze, they're all bronze castings. They could be probably aluminum. There's no reason why they couldn't be cheaper, but I like to try to make it as the original was bronze. So I have a list up on the wall there, and there's only a few of those patterns I need to make. Then we'll move on to the tender trucks, which is a whole different entity. I'll make the tender trucks, design them, and there's 2 different center to centers. One is a 36-inch wheel, and one of those Commonwealth, 4-wheel Commonwealth trucks had 33-inch wheels, like the 040. So I'm going to bring those 2 sizes back, which is nothing more than stretching it out a little bit, and different wheels. But I have to make another wheel pattern, which I'm not excited about, making a 33-inch wheel pattern. But I guess I'm going to have to, and get the truck set up, and the tender front and rear beam. I've already got the steps, so that's all I need to do to get everything I originally had for the 040. Also, as an upgrade, I'm going to offer tenders pre-punched, tender sides pre-punched, cabs pre-punched, and on the Camelback they had a little hood over the fireman in the back. I'll have that pre-made, and they'll be offered as an addition. And some other pieces here and there, whatever, as I go along. If I feel like making them, I make them. If not, I'm just not going to worry about it and let people do what they want. But it's a good sound locomotive. I'd like to make 2 prototypes, one for 7 1/4, one for 7 1/2. And the objective is to possibly take one to Florida and run down there, throw it in my new pickup truck I got, and put the rest of the stuff in there, like the gondolas and a couple flat cars or something. Maybe get a cap for it or something, and be able to run down there. But they're going to probably be for sale. So whenever they get sold, they get sold. So 7 1/4 and one 7 1/2. And hopefully I'll do some videos on machining them a little bit here and there, possibly pictures. It's a lot of work doing all that. You know, you want to get done. You don't want to be, you know, sitting here editing pictures. I'm doing this today after I just made my castings on Sunday, and I made waxes for the last 2 days, and I'm going to start making waxes tomorrow. But I got a couple of backup lights to make for someone, and I have to do some powder coating on some prototype air brake handles. So I'm going to do that this afternoon and get that out of my way. And I'm glad that I finally was able to get this stuff, and I'm ready to sell it now. And hopefully I can get these 8. I'm only going to have 8 kits. And somebody asked, are you going to have spare parts for the existing 040s? And yes and no. Eccentric straps probably could wear out. I've got those. I got a lot of those. And some of the other pieces, I do have spares. I have more than I need. So I may offer those up for sale if someone needs them. But generally speaking, the iron, most of the iron is only about 8, I got 10 sets of those. And I'm not going to do any other additions to that. Now, and one other thing that I'd like to do, because I do have extra cylinders, I'd like to make some 440 Americans, like turn of the century 1900s Americans, and maybe offer that as a kit or just build them up, because I always wanted to build one. And I'll build one up. It takes the same tender truck, same everything, same drums. I want to call it the generic 440. You can put anything you want on it. Yeah, Butchica Loop Railroad, whatever you want to put on it. And so that's about it from Mercer today. And I'm keeping up the work on the castings. I'm going to be doing probably 2 or maybe 3 more castings this year. And then I'm going to get into the machining. I got to get the hardages cooking, fired up, and start running those. I've got safety valves to make, and I've got 50 safety valves coming. I've got 30 check valves I'm going to be making up. So I've got lots of machine work to do, and I'm excited to do it. So that's it from the 040 and the follow-up on castings and patterns. And we'll see you again on the next video. And thanks for watching.